The first team we're going to get to is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh, take it away.
Hey, he got it right this week. We're proud of you, Bill. We wrote it down real nice and simple for him.
Thank God.
So the Jaguars, last year 3-14, not a year they want to remember. They did get a new head coach, Mr. Dougie P. Doug Peterson replaces Urban Meyer. Some of that notable ads here. Let's get to the losses first. The guy who made the button happen. And then DJ Chark, that's probably the biggest loss here. Tyler Eifert, Carlos Hyde, and then they traded CJ Henderson last year in the middle of the season, kind of early season. Nothing too bad. Honestly, they had more wins than they had losses here. So I kind of got to break their ads down to offense and defense and kind of O-line. So offense, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. We know that Christian Kirk caused the whole contract dispute with wide receivers. A little bit of an overpay, and the wide receiver market hasn't been the same since. But they did kind of nickel and dime their way to a decent roster. Over on the defensive side, Foyesade Oluokun, that's my best bet, or best chance, was Oluokun was their other big signing. And then Brandon Sheriff and Cam Robinson on the offensive line. All good moves, honestly. Zay Jones was cheap. Evan Ingram was relatively cheap. Kirk was a little expensive. I don't know if Oluokun, after 196 tackles, I think he's worth every dollar that you pay him. And then Travon Walker and Devin Lloyd in the draft. So boosted up the defense a little bit. All technically linebackers, I think. Although Travon Walker, I'm sure, is going to play defensive line somehow. So just getting into the nitty gritty of this, fantasy-wise, not a huge fan of this team. I mean, there is some diamonds in the rough, but there's no top 10 players. There's not really any top 10 of any position. The one person, I guess, to say is undervalued here would be Etienne, who's kind of the only top player in the top 80. He's currently running back 25, and so he's going at overall about 60. So he's going right in between Damian Harris, Miles Sanders, with some AJ Dillon sprinkles in there. But I'm really liking the value. Out of the 3-4 of those guys, I'm gonna take my guy Etienne here. I mean, Miles Sanders is obviously, I could make this about the Eagles, but I'm trying not to. But Etienne is the best player fantasy wise for this team. My biggest undervalue is James Robinson, though. The running back 25 from last year is at running back 50 from this year. So yes, there's an injury there, but I'd be buying him in around the 12th round in a fantasy draft. Personally, it's just a no-brainer to me. You can ride your IR for a few weeks, see if the Jaguars have a team here. I mean, they did add a lot of talent on the offensive side, so I would be pretty excited about that. Getting into the wide receiver room, I don't love it, but it's a little bit more exciting than it was last year, I guess, with Christian Kirk basically replacing DJ Chark. I don't know how I got to know what you guys feel about Christian Kirk. But let me just kind of sum these up. ADP for Shenault is about 200. Marvin Jones is about 170. Christian Kirk's is about 90. So we're working backwards here. Wide receiver 40, 70, and 90. I think Chenault's the best buy here, just sleeper-wise. You can get him at the end of a draft. The current value is just phenomenal. And you have to imagine Trevor Lawrence is going to be better than this. But I can't really say he's going to. So currently QB 18 for Trevor Lawrence. He was QB 15 going into his rookie year. So the fact that he's sliding even with this better roster, quote unquote. I don't know. What do you guys think about this offense? We'll get into the defense in a second.
Billy?
I kind of like it. I mean, I know that like last year was kind of a throwaway year because of the coach they had, but I think this coming year, there's just something I like a little bit more about Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he's finally going to actually be used to what his advantages are. I don't mind Christian Kirk being on my team. James Robinson's very undervalued. I think Etienne is a massive undervalue. I feel like a lot of people, since he didn't play last season, aren't going to draft him as high. I think if you got him, I know this is a little bit of a stretch, I understand, but like if you got him at like the 12 first pick of the second round, like that back-to-back flip in a snake draft, I feel like you would be okay. I feel like that would be the kind of thing that you would want to do at that spot when you know you're not going to get to draft again for 24 picks or whatever. So I don't know. I kind of like the team, to be honest with you. They're not going to win a lot, I don't think. Probably 6 or 7. That's probably 6-ish wins, but it's a decent team.
Doug Peterson is an upgrade, and I think Etienne's the most interesting piece here, but I'm still not sold on. I wouldn't draft him that high. I like where his ADP is at 60. I'm sure it will go up. I'm sure it'll probably be more around like 45-ish, 4th round. That sounds about more like it. But I'm not like reaching for him. You know what I mean? There's some running backs ahead of him.
He has Matthew Berry bump written all over him. Just saying. Like he's one of those guys where he is going to get the Matthew Berry bump in August when they start breaking down and be like, a player that not a lot of people are talking about? Travis Etienne. I think that'll be skyrocket.
Honestly, he's probably going to say it just like that too. And honestly, your Matthew Berry voice is pretty spot on.
I know. I need to work on it a little bit, but it's about that way. About that good.
I'm going to buy the Matthew Berry bump there. Absolutely 100%. Travis Etienne, I don't think I'm more aggressively targeting any player this year than Travis Etienne. They've vacated 173 targets from last year. We know what he did in college. Catch all those. It's ridiculous. If you want a PPR running back who's going to be an absolute stud, I mean, think about the garbage time production you're going to get out of this team. They're playing the Titans twice a year. They're going to put up some points. They're playing the Colts twice a year. They're putting up some points. And with that schedule and everything, I think he might catch 80 balls. I'm a huge fan of him. And if you get him at the first pick of the second round, pair him with the stud wide receiver, I think it's a hell of a way to go.
First pick of the second round?
Christian Kirk. Yeah. First pick of the second round, I'd take him.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah,
Berry bump.
absolutely.
That is a terrible place.
Matthew
Do not
Berry.
draft him. Okay, you're not drafting there.
Christian Kirk. All right.
Oh, Kirk?
No, I'm talking about Christian Kirk now because Josh said he didn't know how he feels about him.
So
If
you're
plays
drafting
in the
Etienne
slot-
over Nick Chubb?
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'll take
You want to
bet
have that
right now.
argument again?
No, I would love to, but I just you're saying for beginning of the second round, you're going to
Do
draft
I smell
Etienne.
fireball on
Yeah.
this bet?
6.
We're not putting 6 shots on anything.
6
Three?
fireball.
Nuts.
On
Three?
what?
On
That Etienne outscores Chubb in a PPR?
yeah.
Yeah, done.
Done.
Let's put it on there.
3.
Yeah.
3 shots.
Oh, it's
3
not
shots.
I'm going to
all
go
right,
ahead
let's
and
do it.
just jump in here real quick. I'm not really big on any of the offensive players from this team except for Etienne. But like you said, I think the ADP you were looking at, I'm looking at underdog ADP. He's like a running back 17. So, I mean, you're going to have to take him as that's a pretty high for a running back 2 area for a guy that is completely unproven at the NFL level and on a team that we know has Doug Peterson at the helm. So, I mean, what's he going to give him? 150 touches, and say this is a full workload for my running backs. And I'm a little concerned there. Now, I don't want to downplay the talent, but on this team offensively, there's pretty much no players except for him. Maybe that I'll be interested in. Receiver-wise, Viska didn't do anything last year. I'm definitely down on him. Kirk, I'm down on him. There's just really not a lot here offensively. Even Trevor Lawrence last year, for supposedly being this generational quarterback, was not very good. So he had so many single-digit games, and that's that'll ruin your whole season at the quarterback position if you have multiple single-digit games from your quarterback.
I think we're underrating how bad the coaching situation was there.
I brought that up. I
know that coach didn't know who Aaron Donald was when he entered the NFL.
Aaron Donald didn't know who Deebo Samuel was when they went to the Super Bowl against them.
I think that might have been joking,
Super Bowl against them, but a couple of years ago. So, I mean, people don't know who other people are all the time. That doesn't mean anything to me.
This is going to be an NFL team this year, though.
Defensively, I just quickly want to harp on.
No. I'll get into defense.
You've already been talking for 10 minutes, and we have 4 other teams to talk about. 3 other teams.
Welcome to the Josh experience.
I've been sitting here patiently.
All right, Josh, give us the defensive rundown, and then I'll swing back around.
I got to get back to Travis Etienne.
Oh,
Don't listen to Joe. I think he'll be good. He's coming
you.
off an injury. Doug Peterson is not known to run one guy. James Robinson comes back and he gets half the workload. All right.
I like how he coached for Philly, and suddenly he's the Doug
When's
Peterson.
James Robinson coming back? December?
I'm just letting you know Etienne's not getting the full
right.
workload. All right. Anyway,
he's already running at camp. I just read something.
You can run. Can you get tackled?
He's
He's
James
not-
fucking Robinson.
he's not gonna be
It's
back
an
till November.
undrafted dude with a new regime, and you got Travis Etienne there, who's got fresh legs.
Doug Peterson brought in Jordan
It's
Howard.
also a
All right,
new
we're done.
regime.
Anyway, we'll get into the linebacker situation. Oluokun. I was seeing him around linebacker
Oluokun.
15. Oluokun, whatever. A bit higher than I expected. He was linebacker 2 last year, but going into the Jaguars, I'm not sure where he ranks. I mean, he can play. I mean, it doesn't matter really what team he's on, but I don't think he's getting 200 tackles this year. I think this was the best signing by Doug Peterson. Hopefully he had a hand in that one. Devin Lloyd, linebacker 20 at the moment, I believe. And I think we need to pump the brakes on rookie linebackers. Not everyone's going to come in and beat Micah Parsons. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm not I just think Oluokun will have a bigger role than Lloyd, and I think it's going to be hard for him. I think this is going to be more like Arizona linebacker Isaiah Simmons coming in. Just not going to have the great rookie year. I think he'll do okay.
Ish.
All right. Well, anyway, this is the Jaguars Josh show. So, and then we got D-line situation. Josh Allen, he is ranked a lot higher than I was expecting, 16 or so. And I'm expecting great. What?
He's a beast.
I know. I just wasn't expecting him to be that high. I personally love him. I think he's going to be great.
Best Josh Allen in the NFL, some say.
Yeah, some people say. And then Travon Walker should be on the other side, although they got him as like a linebacker right now. I'm not really sure what they're doing with Travon Walker. Their depth chart's weird. He's actually pretty low. He was like D-line 40. And I still don't think he was worth the number 1 pick, but we'll see.
No, of course he wasn't. We don't
Not
even
even
need to
close.
get into that, but God, it was an awful pick.
I don't know. I don't like it. And then Roy Robertson Harris. I know this is a boy that Joe might like. I think this is just a person you take note of. He's not rated on like anything that I found, but if there's an injury or if he plays defensive tackle slot, he could actually make some plays. He's been pretty good defensive lineman over the years, but never like a solid situation thing. And then honestly, defensive backs, don't worry about them. Andrew Wingard and Andre Cisco and whoever the other guy is, Rayshon Jenkins, they're not worth it. I mean, it's good bench stash, but you're not like Andre Cisco didn't really play last year. Andrew Wingard actually was defensive back like 41, 80 something tackles. It's not sexy, but like I'm just not worried about him. There's better safeties out there. Don't worry about the defensive backs. Honestly, the defensive backs are probably going to get burned a lot. So stay with the linebackers and D-line, in my opinion. Now you can have the floor, Jordan.
I was just Josh Allen's the guy you want. I thought we were going in a circle. That's why it kind of threw me off there. But Josh Allen's the guy you want for the defensive line. Walker, I would completely avoid. Clavon Chason. I mean, they have a track record of taking spotty picks at that position. Another first rounder that's essentially just completely dead in the water. So I wouldn't venture into that. As far as the linebackers go, I really do like Oluokun. I think he's the guy you're going to want. And then Lloyd, we'll just have to see. So that's kind of where I'm at. This team doesn't have a whole lot really for that we can feel confident in, unfortunately, in my opinion.
I think we're pretty much all in agreement on this defensive.
Yeah,
front.
I mean, honestly, that's agree. Well, it's one of the worst picks I've ever seen at first, Travon Walker. It was a bad idea, but whatever.
We'll move past it. Should we pull up some? We don't even need a schedule. How many games do we think this team's going to win?
Well, so the over-under for this
They
team
play
is
Philly,
actually
so there's a win.
Is 6 wins. The over-under is 6.
So it's Joe. That's who I'm fighting with today. Got it. Good to know. I asked that in the chat earlier. 6. I think they could do it. I mean, there's a chance. I think this would be.
I think they're going to nail 6. So if it's over/under, I think I would probably go under because I don't think they're going to win 7. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I'll take the over on Trevor Lawrence's stock. Just the fact of who he is. He can't be as bad as he was last year. Like,
What
it's just
is
not
the
possible.
over on his stock? Like he's just going to be better than what he gets drafted as?
No. I'm saying I'm taking the over because of Trevor Lawrence. I just think he's the reason why they hit the over. I think he has a better year. I'm not really drafting him in Dynasty or Fantasy, but like I just can't believe that they'll be this bad. They have talent. It's not great. The offensive line, they did make some moves on. So I think the line gets better. I think they were like O-line 26 last year. So I think they bump into that 15 range, and the two running backs, when they're both healthy, hopefully they both stay healthy throughout the year. And then the wide receivers will do enough, basically. 7
All
games.
right,
Jordan, Joe, over.
26 minutes in. Let's move past the old Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just gonna take the under because they suck.
If you're betting the Jags, you need to call 1-800-GAMBLER, please.
Yeah, you might as well you might as well play Russian roulette. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck it.
We do not condone Russian roulette.
We do not condone Russian roulette playing in any capacity.
Speaking of Russian roulette, Joe, get us on to the Colts.
Oh, the Colts.
No, I'm number 2. Oh, Joe is the Colts. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, get out of here.
My notes.
So, 2021 record.
Big Papa run the show, okay?
You ready for the Colts now?
Yeah.
All right. So 9-8 last year, absolutely gut-wrenching loss to the Jaguars to miss the playoffs. It was horrible. They lost Matt Eberflus, their defensive coordinator, and replaced him with Gus Bradley, but the rest of the coaching staff pretty much stayed the same here. Big news today is Kerry Willis retired. They brought in Rodney McLeod, and so he'll probably compete with Nick Cross there to fill that role. They also brought in Yannick Ngakoue and Stephon Gilmore. So they're going for it this year, boys. Matt Ryan is the shiny new toy in the Colts facility, though, and the media, the staff, the teammates, everyone is raving about his leadership and accuracy on the field. His accuracy has always been his strength. Carson Wentz was not that accurate, but Matt Ryan, 67.5 completion percentage last year, was the fourth highest mark of his career with nobody to throw to. And last year, he only threw for 6.9 yards, which was the fourth lowest mark of his career. Even then, he only missed 4,000 yards by 32 yards last year. It was the first time he missed that number since 2010. I expect Matt Ryan to have an absolutely awesome season this year and probably is a solid QB2 for your team. He's a good backup, and he's really not getting drafted at all right now. 1.01, that is Jonathan Taylor. He is the RB1 in the league, and you will draft him as such. Do not look back. Last year, he had 1,800 yards on 330 carries and 18 touchdowns. He also had 40 receptions for 360 yards and 2 scores. He's not going to have to carry the team like he did last year, having Matt Ryan there, but he will have a lot more room because the defenses are going to respect the passing game a lot more. Now, you got to pay attention to Nyhiem Hines here. Frank Wright came out and said draft him on your fantasy team. I thought it was coach speak. I wasn't really feeling it. But he did get absolutely paid last year, and Carson Wentz cannot complete a pass to the running back. So Nyhiem Hines had 63 receptions in 2018 and 2020, and I expect similar, if not better, numbers in 2022. They actually, in camp, have had him working with the wide receivers. He's been in their room, and they've had him lining up outside and in the slot and in the backfield, and he's making plays consistently. He's currently the running back 45, being drafted as, so get him on your team. Figure out a way. If he's your 4th running back, you could do way worse. Which brings us to Michael Pittman. He did have a mini breakout last year. He had 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. This is the year of the mega breakout. The Colts have the 4th highest vacated target percentage in the league, and he gets an upgrade at quarterback. Michael Pittman specializes in the middle of the field, and Matt Ryan loves to work the middle of the field. And we saw what Tony Gonzalez and Roddy White were able to do over the middle. I think Pittman profiles pretty similarly to Roddy White. Not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but he might get there. So I'm a huge Michael Pittman guy this year. They also drafted Alec Pierce. He's coming out of Cincinnati. He's been absolutely killing it in camp in the red zone, and he's been running with the ones. So that tells you quite a bit. Matt Ryan seems to be looking his way a decent amount. Side note on the wide receivers, Parris Campbell, could this be the recession or the greatness of him coming back? He, in camp, had 3 long touchdowns in one practice, and has actually had several more throughout the week. Matt Ryan seems to be looking his way deep quite a bit here, so we could be looking for someone who might be a solid buy low in Dynasty right now. Just a name to keep an eye on, nothing crazy. Jack Doyle retired, so we got Mo Alley-Cox, Kyler Grayson, and Jelani Woods there. Mo Alley-Cox looks awesome. He had a 150-yard receiving game last year. If we can get him the ball and actually let him run with it, that would be awesome. But we haven't seen him in a full-time role. Kyler Grayson, he's struggled. He looks more like a blocker. But then you got Jelani Woods, who is a human tank. Chris Ballard loves to draft the RAS score players, and he scored a 99%, which is the highest. So please do not ignore him. He's massive. You guys have anyone on offense you want to talk about?
Can I please just what?
Oh, no.
Are you drinking the Camp News Kool-Aid right now? Did
No,
you really
I
say
am
that
all-
Matt?
Dude, I am all about Matt Ryan on this team.
You said Matt Ryan's been throwing deep in practice, and it's like, are we? Do you see the wide receiver core, right? Like, there's Michael Pittman, and then maybe Alec Pierce, right? Like, it's not like a stellar cast. It's still the Jonathan Taylor
AJ
show.
Brown. He gets AJ Brown, and he starts shitting on everyone else's team.
I'm not. This looks like the Eagles wide receiver group. Honestly,
Honestly, it kind of looks like Atlanta's last year.
Yeah, I don't see much.
Same.
I don't see Matt Ryan being good this year. I see Matt
He's
Ryan
better
being
than
a game
Wentz.
manager.
That's
I'm
a good part.
in agreement there, but the hype up of Matt Ryan there was a little hard for me to take. I heard it. There was one or two I could let go, but it was just too much for me. I'm sorry.
No, spill it out. I want to hear it, Josh. Let's hear more of your voice right now.
Matt Ryan's what, like 46 years old? I just don't think that he's gonna be. I'm sorry, that was probably a
He's
little.
probably
bit
like the exact same age as we are.
37. No, he's old. Maybe he's old as you, Jordan. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know. I'm not saying that. I think this team is better. I think it is a slight upgrade, but I think I would have liked to see them upgrade their wide receiver room a little bit more.
I agree with the wide receivers, but you got the best offensive line in the league with the best running back and a veteran quarterback coming in. I mean, anyone can catch passes at that point.
I did not like what I saw from Matt Ryan last year. He looked like what Big Ben looked like.
Falcons absolutely sucked last year, Josh. I don't know what you're looking at here.
I just want to chime in here and say that Michael Pittman's ADP on Underdog of wide receiver 14, after coming off a career year of 17 games where he put up 1,082 yards with Carson Wentz, who, yes, Matt Ryan's better than him, but like that bar is, I mean, pretty much everybody's better than Carson Wentz. I think at wide receiver 14, it's kind of insanity for Michael Pittman, who's literally, like I said, got 1,000 yards by the skin of his nuts last year. I mean, you got Jalen Waddle over here. He basically did the exact same thing, going after him. Marquise Brown, 1,000-yard kind of guy. But these guys are just, in my opinion, I feel like they have Jalen Waddle less so, but Marquise Brown at least has a track record of playing, multiple seasons of at least half decent play. DJ Moore too. It's just almost completely unjustifiable coming off 163 targets, and we're going to take Michael Pittman. We are going to push Michael Pittman's ADP to multiple spots ahead of his. I just don't understand. I think that I'm completely off Michael Pittman in all formats this year if it's going to cost that much. I think an extremely strong projection for him would be like 1,208. And I mean, that's not much more they did last year. And I don't think he was anywhere close to wide receiver 14 last year. So it just feels heavy handed for me. Matt Ryan, I think he's a good target for your second quarterback or a late round quarterback because he does throw a lot. You know what I mean? Like he's a good pocket passer, so he can rack up the yards, especially in that fourth quarter. He can get you 100 yards, on a drive, with 2 minutes left. Sometimes I've seen him do it. So you like to have guys that can, get in the 2-minute drill and at least put you to a respectable point margin with your quarterback play. So I'm not totally against him, but offensively, I mean, I'm completely out on everybody that's not Jonathan Taylor and maybe late,
So you think Michael Pittman's going to be a 1,200-yard, 8-touchdown receiver?
No, I think that would be a good year for Michael Pittman.
Well, yeah, that's almost exactly what Tyreek Hill did last year. Like, that would be a great season for him, and I think that is completely possible. Why? I mean, who else is going to throw the ball to?
I think that is literally Michael Pittman's top of the mountain. Like, that was a down year for Tyreek Hill last year. 1,208 is like the best case scenario. I think the reality is he'll finish a lot closer
wide
to this
receiver
year.
one. I don't know, man. I think it's good. I think it's going to be very close to that.
I'm not arguing against
around and end up with a ton of yards by the end of the season.
I can't argue against Michael Pittman because he's the only receiver on the team, so he's going to get work. And he's going to probably end up with near his 160, 130 targets. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. But I just I'm just saying Matt Ryan. I mean, there's 1,000 of his yards. Where are the other 3,000?
I'm out on him. I'm just saying, me personally, I understand. And I've heard this argument since last summer. I'm out. I don't want him on my team. I don't want to be forced to turn on the fucking Colts game and hope that Michael Pittman does something good. That's not what I want for my 2022 fantasy football season personally. So I'm not going to do it.
I'll agree with you that it is rich where he's going, but he does have the talent to possibly take that next step and be that guy. So
fair.
Big fan.
And if he does that, I'll trade one of the other great wide receivers on all my dynasty teams to get him, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
Be great.
So buy high, sell low. Is that what we're doing
Absolutely.
these days? I love it.
To live.
I love it.
Rare time to say that.
I want to be just like everybody else. Should we hit the defense real quick, and then we should run the ad? Joe, you want to just quickly crank through them, or you want to talk real quick?
Kwity Paye switched sides. Yannick Ngakoue showed up. Kwity Paye is going back to his natural side that he played at Michigan. He had 4 sacks last year. I think he could double that this year. Now Buckner's in the middle, and you got Yannick on the other side. Gus Bradley is not known for blitzing much, but when he does, he's extremely efficient and always runs near the top of the league in that category. So he'll run him at the right time. We do need to watch out. Darius Leonard had an operation on his back, and he was already not participating in OTAs due to ankle issues that after his surgery last year. He played through it all last year, but he wasn't practicing this year. This is kind of scary going into the season with 2 operations. They said he'll be back for week 1, but back injuries, I don't like it. So I'm stashing EJ Speed wherever I can. He's been running the defense in the Maniac's absence, and he needs to be rostered everywhere. So with Kerry Willis retiring, there is an absolute huge opportunity for this mixed bag of defensive backs they got here. I'm betting on Nick Cross to take over the strong safety job. He is huge. He's kind of that hybrid linebacker safety guy that we've been seeing really make an impact in this league. So I think they try to force him in there. And then Julian Blackmon is recovering from an Achilles injury. This is less than a year, pretty much after he tore his ACL. But he's already out there running. He's crazy athletic, and he's with the ones. So I think you have your free safety there. Both of those guys are pretty much not even getting drafted in IDP drafts, so pick them up. That's what I got.
I think you pretty much nailed it. Buckner, more of the same from him. I think it'll be good for Kwity Paye to go back to where he naturally plays. Last year, got a lot of gas, but didn't really produce too much. But he did play. He got plenty of snaps, so I think getting back to where he is, that's going to be good. Yannick, he's a late DL target. I don't have confidence in him as a 1 or even a high end 2, but I would be happy to have him on my roster. That's kind of where I'm at with him. Like, as you can play him and you're going to get 8 or 9 sacks a season from him. You're never going to get any tackles from the guy, though. He has one of the weirdest tackling careers I've ever seen in my life. And then, like you said, Kerry Willis retired today. We'll have to see if they bring anybody in. A lot of Landon Collins, puff going out on Twitter. We'll just have to see how that plays out. So, not too much. Like you said, Darius Leonard, I have him at linebacker 5 right now, and that's just because he is coming off of 2 offseason surgeries, and he had this ankle issue he's pretty much had forever. Granted, he's played great, to pull a word from Josh's vocabulary, phenomenal. He's played phenomenal football, but 2 ankle sprains, 3 ankle sprains in 3 years, that's not phenomenal. So you know what I'm saying? So still a top end guy, but got him a linebacker 5 personally right now. Might be a good time to buy low in Dynasty because people might be fatigued off of him too. So
speaking of buying low, and you don't even have to buy him, you can just pick him up out of free agency. If they don't make another signing to the safeties, Rodney McLeod can actually make a very valuable asset to that team. He isn't a huge tackle guy, but he's also been on the Eagles, and they don't know how to play. So I just keep an eye on him because honestly, I'm not sold on Julian Blackmon at this point, and McLeod could have a pretty good year. He usually stays pretty healthy. He's a little older, but I think that could be a good bench stash. Just see how it plays out. See week 1, keep him on your watch list at the very least.
I have the great privilege, great honor to talk about the Houston Texans. So it's going to be short, but something did happen on Twitter literally like 2 hours ago, which needs to be brought to light here. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen. Hopefully Josh can pull us up a short version of this. So this happened 2 hours ago. JJ Watt posted on his Twitter a picture of him throwing the football. He said, fuck it. But he said, F asterisk, 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 because, he's a very, his brand is very clean. F it, Hop is down there somewhere. Okay, cool. Like, we all get that. That's pretty funny. But so somebody decided to subtweet that. So the people that subtweeted that or not subtweeted it, quote tweeted it was DraftKings. So they hit him with the intercepted, thinking they're all clever and they're all funny. And JJ Watt hits him back with the most brutal, absolutely savage from the free throw line without regard to human life dunk I have ever seen in my fucking life. He says, you might want to think about intercepting some profit sometime soon. And then he screenshot DraftKings stock reports over the last year showing that they are down huge. So them defensive boys ain't nothing to fuck with. All right, don't be trying to clown on JJ Watt out here, DraftKings. Damn, put him on notice. So that was like the best piece of content I've seen probably on Twitter in a while. So just wanted to share that. He's no longer with the Texans, but he's still winning big time. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about the actual Texans players, though. Like I said, it's going to be short. Pretty much, offensively, Davis Mills he did surprise everyone last year by being, I would even say, more than serviceable. Like a guy you would consider streaming and playing, especially in 2 quarterback leagues. I know I had him. I mean, look at some of these numbers. 36-point game week 5, 27-point game week 8. He missed a couple of weeks, but down the stretch, 20 points, 24 points, 10-point game, but then a 35-point game. He has this really strange advantage by being on the Texans that he's going to be forced to make up because the Texans aren't ever going to be winning any games. They don't have the defense or the offense to do it. Now they do have a quarterback who literally gets 3 downs to throw the football, though. So he's been put in a position to be productive. The coaching situation a little bit, obviously I don't want to get into the management style or structure of what the Texans have going on at all. So, but we know that Davis Mills is pretty much locked in at that quarterback position. I don't hate him. I'm just saying I don't hate him this year. Brandin Cooks at wide receiver, another good year for him. 28 years old, still just as, he's the same age as Stephon Diggs, same age as Devontae Adams, same age as Tyreek Hill. These players that are going much, much higher than him. Coming off another, again, I'm not a Brandin Cooks guy, but a pretty good season. Multiple 100-yard games. He's only missed 4 games in his career. The touchdowns have never really been his thing, but as the only guy to get targets from Davis Mills in a team that we know is essentially going to live in, a minus EV situation from start to finish, there's a very good chance that we see another 1,200-yard season out of Brandin Cooks. And there is touchdown upside because I don't know who else is going to score the touchdowns for them. All running back wise, last year their top running back was Rex Burkhead. I don't even want to get into their running backs. I'm just going to defer from that right now. Defensively, Christian Kirksey, Cameron Grugier-Hill both picked up last year, both on a 1-year or a 2-year. That's essentially a 1-year deal for them. Serviceable linebackers. I actually had Kirksey kind of high in my rankings this year because if you go back at his career, he has been very productive in a lot of auxiliary stats. And the fact that he did get the 2-year extension over Grugier-Hill's 1-year extension, I mean, that's just a tiny little bump for me. And then Jonathan Greenard last year was having a really, really, really powerful kind of mid-season where he was getting multiple sacks. You can see here, as the defensive line player, a 30-point game on, just 27 snaps. A 28-point game the week after that on 38 snaps. And it's not just sacks, 6 tackles on minimal snaps. Very efficient. I don't see a lot of no interceptions. They don't do pass deflections on this, so I can't really tell right now what he has. But he's putting up the tackles you want to see, and he's getting home. Young player, 25 years old. Did have some issues with a foot injury towards the end of the year, but I am low-key kind of bullish on Jonathan Greenard, again, because this defense should see plenty of snaps. I don't know that his sacks are going to be game-changing sacks, but he's going to have chances to get sacks. As far as the other positions on this team, there's nobody else that I'm super interested in spending a lot of time talking about, but I'm interested. What do you guys think about this team? I mean, are there anyone you're actually actively pursuing, or is there anyone you have a strong take on offensively or defensively?
So I actually, fantasy-wise, not really that excited. Brandin Cooks is really your only honorable mention here. Nico Collins and John Mechie could have decent years. Davis Mills could be a serviceable backup running back too. I know Billy will talk about Dameon Pierce, so I'll let them take that. But my biggest thing is what the Texans are doing is really smart. What they did was they grabbed a bunch of young guys and the veteran Rex Burkhead, but their running back room for the future could be great. Marlon Mack and Dameon Pierce combo could be great. They're going to probably get a quarterback in the next draft, whether or not, unless Davis Mills just takes off this year. But they're built to lose this year, unfortunately. But getting John Mechie, Nico Collins for the long haul, I'll be excited to see what he can do. They got some smart pieces in Kenyon Green with their offensive line, and then a couple good defensive players that they drafted as well. So I think they're just tried to build as much as they could this year. They were the worst team in football pretty clearly. Fantasy wise, they're going to throw for a lot because they're always losing, but not a super exciting team. But I think that Marlon Mack, the resurgence of him will be great. Dameon Pierce, I think everybody's watching his career with great interest at this point. But I think this is really a team that's built in the rebuild process, and hopefully that next year it'll be a better situation.
Yeah, I've been eyeing out Brevin Jordan quite a bit. Just as kind of like a tight end 3, tight end 2, just, obviously not your starter, but he kind of came on last year. Davis Mills seems to trust him quite a bit. He had 3 touchdowns there. So it's nothing major, but if he can take that next step and really solidify himself as the tight end 1 on this team, he's 21 years old right now. So really the sky's the limit for this kid. He looks super athletic out there.
Love it.
I can agree with that. Brevin Jordan, yes. I don't know if I'm going to take Brandin Cooks at his price. John Mechie could definitely be a sneaky guy. And then, honestly, I think Davis Mills is one of those guys you grab late in the draft if you didn't really want to go up for one of the big QBs. Like maybe he could be a serviceable guy from time to time if you didn't want Joe usually goes for guys like this where they have a lot of upside, but not, nobody really trusts a Houston quarterback. So he could be one of those guys, but I definitely think they're planning to get somebody next season to come in there and be their quarterback.
I feel like Brandin Cooks is just Amari Cooper light, basically.
Yeah.
I got one for you just for fun before we move on, because I don't want to spend too much more time here. Who would you rather have, Davis Mills or Zach Wilson next year?
Davis Mills.
Next year or this year?
Well, this
coming season, 2022.
I like Davis Mills, man.
Really?
I don't like Zach Wilson, number one. And number two, Davis Mills is going to be throwing the entire time, and I think Zach Wilson's going to be handing the ball off to Breece Hall and Michael Carter.
Man, I feel like you're probably right, but it's weird to say because I still like their receiving core for the Jets better. But
I just feel like Lovie Smith might try to just run the ball too much, but I do like Davis Mills, the talent and the garbage time. Time hero.
It's the garbage time for me.
Yeah. Dameon Pierce is that guy. He's a very good run blocking running back right now. And I think that pass blocking running back. I think he's very proficient in that area. He's also a decent runner, pretty much a bowling ball. And I think that he could scoop up a lot of touchdowns. So don't really know what their plan is on running back this year because I don't think it's Marlon Mack or Rex Burkhead or any of the other cast of characters. But Dameon Pierce is definitely somebody you should scoop up late in drafts because he could.
They got a fuck of a schedule right now.
Yeah, their over-under is 4.5, Joe. Give us the schedule.
I just want to run down the big teams. So we got Indy, Denver, Chargers, Raiders, Titans, Philly, Miami, Cleveland, Dallas, Kansas City, and then the Colts and Tennessee. So I didn't put the shitty games in there, but I don't see a whole lot of wins on this team. I'm sorry, Lovey.
I'm going under because they were never built to win this season anyway. I mean, they're really just going for they're going to go for the number 1 pick basically and hope that works.
And Lovey's going to motivate this team though.
I think they're going to nail it. By the way, we didn't give the Indianapolis over under, which was 9.5. I don't know if we want to quickly do that.
They got it.
Yeah, they got it.
I think over as well.
Especially in this division. I mean, not a whole lot of competition.
They're the only team that it looks like they can actually built like a football team at this point. I mean, I guess we haven't got to the Titans. They're okay.
Well, there's a lot of mystery going on with the Titans. But I guess we can move on with the Titans if we're done with the Texans. So the Titans, other than Ryan Tannehill, overhauled the entire offense. Well, and Derrick Henry. I don't want to. We'll save him. The king stayed the same, but everything else around him moved. So they shipped out A.J. Brown and replaced it with Treylon Burks because, that was an easy 1-to-1 decision. They couldn't, for some reason, couldn't have both of those guys on their team. They just needed one or the other. So they shipped A.J. Brown to the Eagles, and they took Treylon Burks. A lot on his shoulders this year because they also added Robert Woods, which I appreciate people thinking that he's going to come in and command a large target share. He did get a 21% target share for the Rams last season, while he was the second to Cooper Kupp. This, I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same situation. He's been running at camp. He's been doing okay, but it's not as easy to come back at 30 years old as it would be if he was younger in his career. So I don't have a high hope for Robert Woods, but we'll come back to that. Treylon Burks, apparently the camp news about him is that he has an asthma issue. I don't think that's going to affect him. That has camp news written all over it, and so I don't think there's anything to really concern yourself with there. But Treylon Burks could be a good guy. So moving on, Austin Hooper, they got him in there at tight end this year. I know Jordan loves Austin Hooper. He'll probably take him until he dies, even though he's not that good of a tight end. But this year, he should be getting more of an opportunity than he did with the Browns last season, because he was just not made for the Browns. That was always going to be Njoku. The offensive coordinator is a former tight ends coach, so I think that may help Austin Hooper. It did not help out the tight end situation last year, but it could mean better things this year. I don't know. We'll see.
We talk about Anthony Frisker was a beast last year.
Okay. Can we pull up his stats? Because I don't remember him being a beast. Unless you're being sarcastic, then you nailed it. Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback. I don't think we're going to see Ryan Tannehill for the whole season. I'm going to go ahead and spoiler alert that one. I know a lot of people are very hopeful that Ryan Tannehill is going to be able to just run it back with him. I think we saw all that we needed to see from Ryan Tannehill in that playoff game against the Bengals. That was a game they should have easily won. They had the better team. Ryan Tannehill just coughed it up. Not very good. And so I can't read that on the screen. I think that says Anthony Frisker sucks, but I can't.
Yeah, that's exactly what it said.
I can't see it. But Ryan Tannehill is not going to be there the whole season. They drafted Malik Willis, and I think this is a Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco situation 2.0. I know Ryan Tannehill's already come out and said it's not his job to mentor rookies. That's just the wrong way of going about this, in my opinion. I think we're going to be seeing Malik Willis earlier rather than later, and I think it's going to be – I don't think Malik Willis is not Lamar Jackson, so I don't want to make that comparison. They're not the same talent. It's just the situation. Yes, Josh.
Can I interrupt you? And it's actually not to disagree with you. Tannehill being paid the most money, and the reason basically that A.J. Brown had to be shipped out, and to say that about Malik Willis and say that I'm not here to mentor, you're getting paid $30 million this year. You are paid to mentor. That is literally your job. And after your stats of 3,000 yards passing last year, you are paid to mentor. You don't deserve your salary, and you're the reason that this team is falling apart. No offense to Ryan Tannehill. I think he's been serviceable the last couple of years, but it's because of Derrick Henry. Like, it wasn't.
Tannehill's going to go out sad, and it's sad to see. But that brings us to the king of the team, Derrick Henry. This is Derrick Henry's team. He was far and away the RB1 before he got hurt. He was, I think, 200 yards or something. I can't remember what the ridiculous amount of points that he was ahead of Jonathan Taylor before he got injured last season. But he's far and away still a top 5 running back. I know we're probably going to have arguments about, well, he's old. I understand that completely, and I still don't care. He is a freak of nature. He's an athlete of one that we haven't seen in and I wouldn't say a long time, because Adrian Peterson kind of had this about him, but he has that kind of motor about him. And Derrick Henry is a dominant athlete, and this year he will also be a dominant athlete. But injuries come for everyone. Dontrell Hilliard is the running back 2 on the team, although I think Hassan Haskins is coming for that job. I'll quickly move on to the defense, because this is a very mixed bag on the defense. I like Danico Autry, actually. He had 9 sacks last season. The tackle floor was not that high for Danico Autry, but his sacks at being 9, if you can somehow get that replicated for him, that was actually not that bad for the D-end spot, which I think he also might have been D-line. He was D-lineman. And then Harold Landry had 12 sacks last season. I think that's going to be the guy you're searching for on this defense. Zach Cunningham, we don't really know what you're going to get. David Long, he was kind of disappointing last season. Bud Dupree was a total afterthought. And then Kevin Byard, I think, is the guy you're looking for in that secondary. But other than that, I'm not going to believe in a lot of most of these other guys. I don't know if you all disagree with that, but I do not personally.
I do like David Long this year. I mean, when he filled in last year, they shipped Jayon Brown to the Raiders, and Rashaan Evans is now playing in Atlanta. So David Long, he did have a 12-tackle game. He had a 14-tackle game late in the season.
How many sacks? Like, that's the problem for me.
He's a linebacker, so we're after tackles here. That's the big thing. So if you need just kind of a tackle machine to slide into your lineup, bye week fill-in, I think David Long could do it. And he's another guy that if he takes the right next step, he could really kind of come on strong for your team.
Yeah, I completely agree with Joe here. David Long had 76 tackles last year, and he played half the season basically because he wasn't a starter. And Rashaan Evans and other guy, Jayon Brown, were basically clogging the middle of the field. And honestly, I think that same goes for Zach Cunningham at that point, because honestly, Rashaan Evans and Jayon Brown both did phenomenally while playing side by side each other. So I think that these two are going to have the majority of the tackles. I mean, the D-line's not bad, but they're not the best, I guess. And then the defensive backs, don't get me started on that. So I think that the linebackers are going to have to eat up a lot of those tackles. And yeah, they're not, they're new, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for them. But I'm excited about their linebackers for sure.
Yeah. I think Billy nailed it with, pretty much everybody and everything on his team. There's a lot of guys that are going to be very fantasy relevant, maybe not have the extreme upside, except for, Derrick Henry, obviously. Harold Landry also has some upside. This is the second year he's finished as a top 12 defensive line player. Yeah, David Long, definitely somebody to keep an eye on and probably actually go to acquire. Zach Cunningham, like you said, he's kind of cleaned house on that defense. And yeah, Bud Dupree ended up being the biggest waste of money last year ever.
It's tough.
Well, Tannehill was pretty expensive last year too.
Yeah, and he just that was just an extremely tough look all around for them. But I think I was gonna say I think Tannehill is being a little underrated. I know Malik Willis is back there, but if Jimmy Garoppolo can hold off Trey Lance, I think that I'm okay saying that Ryan Tannehill is gonna hold off Malik Willis. I think I'm okay being okay with that.
Know. I just think if they're having a bad season, I think that they're gonna the fans.
Yeah, but it's like
looking at the schedule, they're gonna have a bad season.
I'm not excited about the Tennessee.
Before we get to that, I just need to mention one more name, Kyle Phillips. He's been killing it at camp so far. I know it's camp news, blah blah blah. He's a rookie, blah blah blah. I get it. He's a good wide receiver, and I think that he is somebody that people should at least be thinking about taking as a late round flyer. This offense can bear fruit. It might. They have all new pass catchers. Like you have Robert Woods there. You have Nick Westbrook-Akine is not new, but then Treylon Burks. You don't know who's going to hit. So Kyle Phillips could be a guy that maybe could be able to break out. It's not a huge pass-heavy offense, but still, you never know. You never know.
They also don't really have a solid three yet. I mean, you can imagine Treylon Burks and Robert Woods are going to be 1-2, and then Westbrook-Akine, Dez Fitzpatrick, Kyle Phillips, McMath.
You guys want to hear
McMath, man?
You guys want to hear a crazy name, a blast from the past? Rashard Evans. Not Rashard Evans. Oh my gosh, Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews. They're both Titans. But remember Rashard Matthews when he had like an 1,100-yard season with Mariota? Was that like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Mariota that was like one of the most 3,000 yards.
5 years ago. It's a long time ago.
That's been a while. It's crazy to think
Tennessee always does this because they had I think it was Harry Douglas. I think maybe that was Atlanta. Now that I'm thinking about it,
they had Corey Davis too. He had that crazy year 2 years ago, and everybody got back on the train with him too. Like their wide receiver situation, like if you kind of backtrack over it,
Dorial Green Beckham, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't Nelson Aguilar there too as well?
No, Aguilar's been on the Eagles.
Was he just on the Eagles? Okay.
Well, and then the Raiders.
They're a very odd team. There isn't really anybody you think of and think, oh, that's the Titans' primary wide receiver, at least for me. There's just so many different guys I've seen do things for that team. So I don't know. It kind of sucks they let AJ Brown go. It's kind of unreal to think about personally, but